All right, so here is the first important problem showing the power of trigonometry. So it says in triangle DEF, the measure of angle F is 90 degrees. The measure of angle D is 19 and DE is 40 feet. Find the length of EF to the nearest foot. So on this page, EF is our X. Great, find X. Now, in order to do this, we have to use this 19-degree angle in trigonometry. We do have a right angle. We have a right triangle, so we can use trig. So from this 19-degree angle, right, what is the side labeled X? What is the side labeled 40? Well, the X is across from 19. X is the opposite side. We need to find that. The 40 is across from the right angle. That is the hypotenuse. So which of the trig ratios involves opposite and hypotenuse? Well, that is sine. We're going to create a sine equation using 19 degrees, x and 40, and we'll solve for x. Sine of your angle. And they give us the angle measure. The angle measure is 19 degrees. Equals. And now we're going to put the opposite on top, x, over the hypotenuse of 40. So to get x by itself, right now x is being divided by 40, so we're simply going to multiply both sides by 40. And 40 sine, notice where I put the 40 out in front, 40 sine of 19 degrees equals x. And that's what you're going to plug in. You're going to plug in 40 sine of 19 into the calculator and see what x comes out to be. Now, I'm going to do this with you. Very, 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 very important, just like I mentioned in the notes, that our angles are measured in degrees, okay? So 40 sine of 19. So when I do this and I go to the graphing calculator, or whatever calculator to use, you got to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Now on Desmos graphing calculator, it's this wrench in the top right corner, right at the bottom here, degrees and radians. By default, it's in radian mode. If you take higher level math, that's what we measure degrees in. Angles in. For us, we need to change it to degrees. Good. And now over here, I think it was 40. I'm just typing in it, SIN of 19. And that's all you got to do. And this came out to be 13.02. The 2 leaves the 0 the same, so this is 13.0. That's the nearest tenth. So I'll come back to delta math. 13.0. Submit. Oh, yeah. There we go. All right, let's do another one of these. And again, this one involved sine because it was the opposite side and the hypotenuse from the 19-degree angle. Let's do one more that might not involve sine. Okay, so here's our next one here. So it says in triangle IJK, the measure of angle K is 90. The measure of angle J is 76 degrees, and JK is 3.6. Find the length of IJ to the nearest tenth. So IJ is here. It is our X. Okay, here's my angle, 76 degrees. So what sides do I have? Well, I don't have the opposite. I do have the hypotenuse, which is this H. And I have the adjacent side, which is 36. So which one involves adjacent and hypotenuse? Well, that's cos or cosine, right, from SOHCAHTOA. So we're going to set up a cosine equation to find x. So cosine of 76 degrees equals, adjacent goes on top, 3.6 over the hypotenuse, which is x. And now, in contrast to last problem, aside from using cosine instead of sine, now your x is in the bottom. So we're going to do what's called the switcheroo method. So there's just something to memorize. Again, there's algebra to show you, but I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to confuse you algebraically. So all you're going to do is switch. X comes by itself, and the cosine of 76 goes on the bottom. 3.6 divided by cosine of 76 degrees. And this is a division problem, right? So either you multiply the two numbers or you put the cosine in the bottom of the fraction, right? And this is what I'm going to type into my graphing calculator. 3.6 divided by the cosine of 76. Very important when I go there. Again, make sure that you are in degree mode every time. degrees. Good. So I come up here, and I believe it was 3.6 divided by cosine of 76. And there I go, 14.88. That second 8 rounds that to a 9. 14.9 is our answer. Put it in there. I'm correct. Now, again, you might ask yourself, well, Mr. Chopper, you used sine in the last problem. Why'd you use cosine? Why didn't you use sine again? Well, it's all about the side lengths you're given in relation to the angle you're given, right? So be aware of that. It has to be, it's going to be determined because you're going to involve two sides based off the angle. So use the SOHCAHTOA, right? Use the SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. And choose the correct trig ratio. Okay, that was finding side lengths. Now let's go ahead and find an angle measure. Let's take a look here. It says in triangle FGH, the measure of angle H is 90, HF is 1.2 feet, and FG is 5.7. Find the measure of angle F to the nearest tenth of a degree. All right, so now we're looking for angle F. Angle F is right here. This is where my X is, right? So this is the angle of question. So what two sides do they give you? Well, they don't give you the opposite, but they do give you the hypotenuse of 5.7. And that means they must give you the adjacent, which is the 1.2. So again, which trig is adjacent and hypotenuse? Well, that's cosine. Again, sorry about this. The lag here. Cosine. So now, instead of creating a cosine equation, right, what I'm going to do immediately is just say x equals, because I'm finding an angle, and we're going to use inverse cosine. Why am I using inverse cosine? Well, I'm looking for an angle measure. Whenever you look for an angle measure, use inverse cosine. That helps you find the angle. And you put the ratio just as it says, adjacent over hypotenuse. 1.2 over 5.7. And we'll type this into Desmos graphing calculator, and we'll see what we get, rounded to the nearest tenth. Okay. All right, so let's go there now. Again, make sure you're in degrees. That's always the first thing I do. I'm in degree mode. Good. So I come here. Now I'm going to type in cosine, and then I'm going to use the exponent button. Now remember, the exponent button is also in the keyboard. So let me make these go away. I'm nervous. Control T. So here's your keyboard, right? So you can use this button here. I'm sorry, not that button. I'm sorry. You can use the AB button, right? And put a -1. Or you can just use your keyboard and do Control or Shift 6, and that gets you up there. So -1, and then open a parenthesis and type in that fraction, 1.2 divided by 5.7. Make sure you put it in parentheses, okay? Just like that. And look at what I got, 77.84. That is my angle measure in degrees. 4 keeps the 8 the same, so this is 77.8 degrees, and that's the angle measure for this angle. And again, that's just by using inverse cosine. So I'll go back to my problem, 77.8. There we go. All right, let's do one more of these. All right, here's my problem here. It says in triangle JKL, the measure of angle L is 90. KL is 14 and LJ is 95. Find the measure of angle K to the nearest degree. So now it doesn't say rounding the nearest tenth, just says degree. So make sure you pay attention. Well, here's angle K. It's where my X is. This is the angle that we care about. So what two sides do they give me? Well, they do give me the side opposite of X. So this is the opposite side. They do not give me the side opposite the right angle. So then they give me the adjacent side. So which trig ratio involves opposite and adjacent? Well, that's TOA, tangent. So I'm looking for an angle measure. So instead of setting up your regular tangent equation, you're going to set up x equals inverse tan. Again, tangent, -1. Open a parenthesis and put those two sides opposite over adjacent. 95 over 14. And we're going to type that in exactly as it looked, making sure we're in degree mode, and we're going to round to the nearest degree. Okay. So I'll go back into Desmos. Tangent, I'm going to use the AB button here, -1. Press the arrow to the right, open up a big parenthesis, and it was 95 divided by 14. And I get 81.6, again to the nearest degree, so that 6 rounds the 1 up to a 2. 82 degrees. And again, before I did that, I should have checked. I don't think I did. Was I in degree mode? Yes. Watch what happens if I change the radians. Look at my answer. Ah! Degrees. Better. 81.6, 82 degrees. All right. So best of luck. Again, this is the most important lesson of trigonometry. So make sure you know what you're doing. And if you have any questions, just ask for help. All right. See you later.